my next challenge is to see if I can set up Redux without looking anything up. And those of you who've worked with Redux know that this is a challenge because there are so many different steps. And no matter how many times I've set it up, I always have to look stuff up. So we'll see if I can make it. Now I'm going to use the same app I used last time to refactor using hooks, just the simple get joke app. User interface is like a joke. If you have to explain it, it's not that good. Yeah, that's very true actually. You know, sometimes jokes are funny and sometimes they're just, yeah, they're true. Anyway, so that's the app we're going to be doing. Very simple. So the first step is installing the packages here. So what are we going to do? First of all, Redux, of course. But we also need React Redux. Because Redux is actually its own thing. Like you can use it with just vanilla JavaScript if you want. But if you want to use it in React, you need another package called React Redux. So that's what you got there. Also going to do Redux Thunk for the API call. And the all-powerful Redux Dev Tools extension. And I never use Redux without the dev tools because they are awesome and amazing and wonderful. All of the above. So first of all, not recommended to use Redux in a tiny little app like this. Like it only has what, 3 components? Like beep, 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 yep. But as a global state management system, it is extremely great for the organization, for minimizing side effects, for the dev tools, of course, which I'll demonstrate. If you have 20 components, if you have 120 components, trying to pass state around and get it where it needs to go can get really, really messy unless you have some kind of global state management. So that's what Redux is really great for. And look, it's all installed. So what are we going to do now? I'm in the index.js file here. I'm going to import. There's some things I'm going to import from Redux. Okay. And I'm also going to import some things, whoops, from React Redux. And import something from Redux Dev Tools extension. I love this auto finish stuff. It's so wonderful. And import, let's call it Thunk from Redux Thunk. Oops. Oh wait, auto import there. Very nice. Okay. So from Redux, what do I need? I need create store because that is what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to create a Redux store. I also want apply middleware because Redux Thunk is a middleware. So I want to be able to apply it. Pretty straightforward. I love naming conventions that are very straightforward like that. Like I don't even need to explain it because it's in the name. Okay, from React Redux, we need provider because that's the component we're going to wrap around the entire app so that we can pass the store down as props. And Redux Dev Tools extension, I want, it's called Compose with Dev Tools. There we go, got it. Yeah, awesome, doing good so far. So like I said, we're going to wrap the whole app in the provider here. Whoops. Okay, and this is where we're going to pass the store down. But first, let's create the store. So store is going to create store. Okay, now what do I pass in here? You need the reducer. I'll call it root reducer. That's just a regular naming convention because you can have multiple reducers and then you combine them into one root reducer. In this case, I'll just have one, but I'll call it root reducer anyway. So root reducer, And then I'm going to compose with Dev Tools. There it is. And inside that, I believe you do apply middleware, and inside that you pass the middleware, which is right now just thunk. Okay, and I think that has created our store, which I can now pass into the provider. Whoops. Store. Okay. Now, one thing about Redux is it's not going to work until you've completely set it up. So if I tried saving it now, it'd give me an error. Basically, until I get it all set up, I'm only going to get errors. That's something very aggravating, is you can't just do one step and see if it worked and then do the next step. You got to do the whole thing. So like right now, root reducer is not defined, right? So I've got to create that. And you know what? Before I try importing it, I'll go ahead and create it. Sometimes you can import something and then create it, but I'll go ahead and do that. Now, one thing I like to do, like usually I have a folder for my components, which I don't have here. And then I have another folder for my store, but I'll go ahead and make a store folder here. And in my store, I have my, well, I guess I'll call it root reducer. Or I'll just call it reducer. How about that? There we go. Okay, and then I'll also have my actions. Actions and reducer. Okay, pretty good. Now a reducer is what takes the previous state and then returns a new state. So you start with an initial state. So let's see, initial state is going to equal an object. State is always an object here. And then export default, it's an anonymous function here, and it takes state, which is going to start out as initial state. And it's going to take an action, which is also an object. It takes state, which is an object, and an action, which is also an object, and then it returns a new object, which is the new state. So it's just like the reducer method in ES6 in JavaScript, if you're familiar with that. And so state, initial state, but you usually have a switch statement, and action.type is what you're going to check for in the switch statement, the action type. And you'll start with, you'll always have just a default, which is going to return state. Oops. Yeah. Okay. So with that, export default, okay. So with that, we've got a reducer, even though it's not doing anything. So now I can import it, root reducer from, store reducer. Okay. So I have a reducer. Okay, and look, I don't even have errors because everything's defined and etc. It's just not doing anything. That's the main problem. It's not doing anything. Okay. So now let's look at our app to decide what initial state is going to be here. So app just has the quote box here, right? And then, so quote box is the parent component. I remember when I made this, I made quote box as like a parent component to pass props down to these children and quotes and buttons. But now that I'm setting up Redux, this component is not even necessary because in Redux, any component in the entire app can have access to state. You just have to use the connect function. So that's very nice. But anyway, this is the state. This is all the state I've got in this app. Just set up punchline and new joke, which is a Boolean. So that is going to be our initial state. Actually, you know what? I'll just take this and copy it so I don't have to keep looking at it. Okay. So we're going to have setup. No, I'm not going to do that. That's confusing. Setup, which is a string. Punchline, which is also a string. And what was the last one? New joke. You know what? If I was going to name that again, I would say is new joke. It's usually I like to name booleans in a way that sounds like a question. Is new joke true or false? Anyway, but I'll just keep the same naming conventions. Quote box. So did I get that right? Yes. Great. Now it looks like I have two different actions here. Get punchline and get new joke. And this asynchronous API call here is what I'm going to use Redux Thunk for. So I've got the initial state, it's going in there. So now let's make some actions, okay? Let's get this action. It's woman of action here. Yeah. So get new joke and set new joke. Oh no, get punchline. Get punchline and get new joke. Yep, that's it. That's it. So, no, here we go. Export const. This is how we declare these things. Get new joke. And this is just something else that's not necessary in Redux, but is kind of a conventional way of doing things. An action type is a string, but here I'm making giving it a variable names. I don't know. I guess that makes it easier to. Yeah, that would be good to find out. Like, why do you do that? Like a lot of this, like figuring out how to set up Redux and stuff is just I just kind of did memorization and muscle memory. And a lot of it I've come to understand just from working with it more and looking things up more. But there's still a lot to learn. So what was it? It was get new joke and get punchline. Right? Right. Okay. Get punchline. There's probably a better name I could give that to, but I don't want to do too much refactoring, so I'll just do this. All right. So just two actions. That's all I got here. The easy one is going to be get punchline because that's just going to be, I'm going to make an action creator. An action creator is just a function that returns an action. And you can dispatch actions inline instead of making action creators, but there's pros to making action creators, and I won't get too into it. So here's a get new joke. No. I'm going to do the simple one first. Get punchline. That one's very simple. And yeah, it doesn't even take a payload or anything. It's just going to return an action type, which is called get punchline. And that is it. I mean, that's your most basic action creator. Isn't that it? Yeah, that's it. I'm like second guessing myself. Okay, but so then in the reducer, what are you going to do with this? Get punchline, right? So that's going to be one of the cases. So case, get punchline. Now I do an auto import here, so it does it for me because it needs to be imported from actions. And what are we going to do for get punchline? We're going to return a new object, an object with a new state in it. So first of all, I'll do the spread operator to get the old state because you don't want to mutate state for Redux, or for anything really. You never want to mutate state. So, and all I'm going to do is set new joke to true. No. I think this starts out as true, actually. Wait, let me look. Oh, I'm sliding from screen to screen instead of from tab to tab. That's confusing me. No, it starts as false because it's not a new joke. I see, and then when you get the new joke, then it's set to true, and then when you get the punchline, then it's set to false. I get it. Okay, new joke. It's gotta understand my own code here. Okay, so I'll set new joke to false when you get the punchline. Sounds good to me. Okay, so that's your typical, that's just a super basic action. No payload, no asynchronous API calls or anything. So now let's do the API call here. And I start the same way here, but get new joke. Get new joke. This is going to do a thunk. And oh no, let me think. I might have to look something up here. What's the syntax for this? Thunk is basically you can have a function within a function here, which you can't do without Redux Thunk. Just that middleware allows you to do that, a function with a function. And I want to do return, oh, I think I'm remembering. Dispatch, yep. Okay. Wait, this is going to be async. I just recently started using async await and try catch instead of the older version of promises. Then, yeah, anyway. Async dispatch response is going to be fetch. Oh, you know what? I don't even have to remember this part because I have it here. Here we go. Get new joke, async, and this is what I'm going to do right here. Bloop. Yay, hooray for copying and pasting. Copying and pasting is a developer's best friend. Especially if it's code you understand. I mean, obviously I understand this because I wrote it myself. Hopefully that's the case. Not necessarily. Okay, except now these are not going to be correct here. This is going to be handled in the reducer, actually. But what I am going to do here, see, I haven't used dispatch yet because this is where I'm going to use it. I'm going to dispatch, after I get the response, I'm going to dispatch type, just like up here. See, I'm dispatching an object with a type here. In fact, I'll make it pretty just like I did up there. Okay, the type is going to be get new joke, and this one is going to have a payload. And the payload you can name whatever you want, but you know, naming convention, payload is a common thing to do, to say here. And the payload is going to be the data. Yes, that is it. Now these guys I'm going to use in my reducer because I'm sending the data as a payload with the type here to the reducer. So this is called get new joke, so that's going to be the next case. Case get new joke. So what are you going to do, reducer, when we get new joke? Oh, I put a comma here, which I did not need. Return. I'm going to return the new state. I always do the spread operator state just to have my bases covered. Now, here's what I want. This is the wrong syntax, though. I'm going to do setup is going to be not data setup. It's going to be, actually, let me replace both of those. action dot payload setup. So up here, I do action type. I import action, which I dispatch. Yeah, I pass it in there. Here I have action type, which I'm checking, and here I have action payload. Okay, so here I'm gonna do punchline. Don't need that. Yeah, I'm just trying to make this easier, but I don't know if this is the easier way or if I'm just making it more complicated. And then new joke is going to be set to true. Okay, so set up punchline, new joke, and this will set it to false. I'm pretty sure that's a happy dandy. Oh, but look at that, get punchline is not defined. It auto imported here, which is get punchline and get new joke was auto imported. Oh, that's in actions 416. Get new joke. Get new joke. Wait, what? Oh, aha, that's why, because I didn't save this. Oh, but now I've got another error. So what's going on here? Export default. Get new joke. Only one default export allowed. Oh, yeah. Good catch, error people. Well, that's nice. You know, I didn't know only one export default was allowed. So there we go. Learning moment for me. But yeah, that's good. That makes sense. Okay, errors are gone. Now I have all my actions set up, all my mini actions. I have my reducer set up. So this should work. Now all I have to do is use it in the components. So here I automatically call it after the component mounts here. I shouldn't need any of these. And this. Now I was originally passing everything down to these two components from this component. But what I'm going to do instead, I'm just deleting all this, okay? Because I don't need it in this component at all. This is now a dummy component. And I don't need to pass anything down to these because I'm using a global state management system right now. So look at that. This is just like bare bones right now. But what I'm going to do is let's do quotes first. Okay, so in order to get state to this component needs new joke and setup and punchline. So it doesn't need any actions, it just needs state. So it doesn't need to dispatch any actions. But I'm going to import connect from React Redux because I need to connect this component to the Redux store. And connect I think it's called a higher order function. I read about it before and it's pretty awesome sounding, but I can't tell you what it means right now. To props. And it takes two arguments. It takes map state to props and map dispatch to props. But if you don't use one of them, you can either just pass null or in this case, leave it out because I don't need map dispatch to props. But here's map state to props, and I'm going to put here the state that I need, which is new joke and setup and punchline. I need all of those. Nope. Getting the syntax right here. Okay. And then all of these I can just copy paste here and also copy paste here for props. Okay. So there's the props I'm passing in. Wow. I didn't even do an arrow function here. How old school. But that should be okay. But I do need to take out these props here because I'm passing these in here. So that should be okay. That, voila, that component now has the state it needs from the Redux store, I believe. So let's see, the other one that needs some is buttons. Buttons, and buttons needs new joke from state. Yep, it just needs new joke, and then it also needs the actions get punchline and get new joke. So that's what I'm going to give this component. So once again, import connect from React Redux. I sure hope this is helping someone, because you know what? I had so much trouble figuring this stuff out when I was learning. I read so many articles, watched so many tutorials. It still didn't make sense to me. So confusing. Okay, so connect map. Oh yeah, so I do need state and state to props and dispatch. Map dispatch to props. Okay. I'll do the same thing here with the state, except in this case, all I need is new joke. Okay, new joke. Perfect. And now I'm going to do map dispatch to props. And that is going to be a function. Map dispatch to props, and it's get punchline and get new joke. Yes. Get new joke, get punchline, and I think I passed them in here too. Pretty sure. We'll see if I'm getting this right. I think so. But we'll see. Okay, and then as props, I'm going to pass all those in. New joke, and get new joke, and get punchline. And I did connect, but I also have to import the actions here. Get new joke and get punchline. Whoops, that was supposed to be automatic. There we go. From, store and actions. Okay, so that should work. What's going on here? Oh, right, these props are not necessary anymore. Ready, go. Boop, boop, boop. Ching. Oh, now I'm having a problem down here. Invalid parenthesized assignment pattern. Is this not what I did in the, what am I, what? Map state to props, that one was okay. So what did I do differently over here? This is very fascinating. Oh, see, here's where I was gonna cheat if I needed to cheat. Let's see. I always use my old projects to do this. I could have used a smaller project to look at though. Like this one doesn't have state. Welcome, subject tabs, maybe subject tabs has it. Map state to props, subjects, resources. That's exactly the syntax I'm using. Oh, no, it's the other way around. Map state to props. I got it switched around here. Map state to props does this. Wait, what? Map state to props does this, and map dispatch to props does not do this. I got it switched around. Yeah. Okay, so apparently I need to read up on why that is the case. Because if I can just get it wrong and not even realize it, that's no good. So I really need to read up on that. And that makes sense why it had no problem with this one. Because map state to props, that's what it's supposed to be like. It's still having problems though. Ah, oh, right. So that's supposed to be an arrow function. So that makes sense. Oh my goodness. Now that that's fixed, what do we got here? I think we've got it set up the way it's supposed to be set up. I think all the components have what they need, and now I'm going to check it out, and nothing's there. Uh-oh. Why is nothing there? Ah, here's a great opportunity, boop, 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 to show the Redux Dev Tools. Open the Redux Dev Tools, see what's happening. Okay, so there's no state in here. So I have set up punchline and new joke false. I can look at the actions. If I click get new joke, look at that. That worked. Ah, I got it. I didn't put in use effect again to automatically get the first joke. That's what I forgot. So in buttons, that's where I'm going to do it. Use effect. Whoops, from React, and I will just implement that right here. Use effect. And what is it? Get new joke. Yeah. Get new joke, and I'll do that right away. And here's the array here, and I think that'll do it. No, I'm supposed to pass it in as a dependency. Get new joke. Otherwise I get an error. There. Now it should work. 10 types of people in its world. Well, let me refresh to make sure it works. Ta-da! Why do programmers always mix up Halloween and Christmas? And you get in the state, you get the setup and the punchline and the new joke. And then you click, and it shows you the action and the state. It shows you the differences between the state. True went to false. Now watch this. So there's the difference, get new joke. So it is extremely, extremely helpful dev tools. And obviously for debugging as well, because I had a bug. I checked out the dev tools. I knew that it was in that it worked when I clicked the button, press the button, but so that's how I was able to solve that. I just need it as soon as it renders, basically. So that was setting up Redux, at least the way that I set it up. Once again, there's lots of little differences, like in terms of file structure, in terms of how you import things, or doing inline dispatches or different things like that. But I have kind of settled into this method. So hope you enjoyed. I was mostly successful, and there you go.